We have Sean Rose, our news reporter extraordinaire, and he's got we got a lot to talk about education tonight. School is about to be reopened, and the minister and the permanent secretary and the acting chief education officer have been talking a lot. We want to hear some of what they had to say and what that means for the development of education in the territory. Let's go to Sean Rose. Sean, it's good to see you. What's up, my brother? What's happening out there in the world of news?
Good to see you too, Edrenka. Good to see you, viewers. Good evening, viewers. The top news tonight looks at the 2013 Teachers Professional Development Opening Ceremony, which was held at HLSTC on Monday, August 26th. And particularly, we heard some very pertinent remarks coming out from the various speakers. I can say it was a very informative session on that day. A number of speakers, a number of presentations. But let's look at what the education minister had to say to the teachers and all the educators for that matter. He has called for 100% from the teachers in terms of their time and their talent. He's saying to them they need to either decide that they're going to give 100% or seek another profession. Basically saying shape up or ship out. And in addition to that, he reminded the educators, as of course we know the Ministry of Education is working towards creating a culture of excellence in the education system. And the education minister rightfully reminded the teachers that they are the architects of the type of individuals that we all would like to see in the society. So teachers have a very important role to play, and we can all attest to this. The minister, of course, he mentioned a number of things, but he also placed emphasis on the need for teachers to be on the cutting edge of contemporary information communication technologies. And we have a clip. Let's listen to what he had to say.
So in today's world, teachers, you have to remain on the cutting edge of your profession to keep up with this new breed of young people. They are gifted with deciphering the latest technology, and in this instant culture, they expect everything immediately.
No, that's a call we can all appreciate because, of course, we're living in an information age. And generally speaking, I'm sure that the educators are expecting the minister to help them along because they have called on behalf of one of the teachers. One of the teachers was actually the chairperson at the event on Monday, called on the minister to remove the barriers to social networking sites. And the way she puts it across, it's really something that's plausible. Let's hear what she has to say.
Mr. Minister, we, especially in the English department, there are times that we want to use YouTube. We want to be able to download videos. I know we were doing commercials and we really wanted to get some to show our students and we weren't able to get access to it. I mean, I could understand why it's blocked, but if certain principals and teachers, department heads can have access to it so that we can get on with moving with the students. We'll appreciate that. Thank you.
Now, that humble request was made by an educator, Elisa Todman, and she was the chairperson at the opening ceremony on Monday. And one can argue that the minister should accede to that request, especially given the way Stout Todman brought it across. However, it really begs the question how much synergy there is. And I can say that the minister has called for improved relations between the various heads, not just at the ministry level, but also even within the schools. He has said to the principals, get down to ground zero. Don't try to manage schools from the principal's office. And he has also said to the education officials, get out there in the environment, get out in the schools, and have a sense of what's happening on the ground so that the ministry knows these things firsthand and don't necessarily find out from sources such as Top News or Spotlight.
Well, Sean, you know, I heard some excerpts from the ministers and the permanent secretary's speeches on the news this morning, and as you quoted tonight and the clips that you played, certainly the minister is making a lot of demands from the teachers, and rightly so. Teachers, of course, in my view, are the most important people in any society, any community. I haven't heard of what support the ministry is bringing to the teachers. Did the minister and his colleagues mention anything about the support that the teachers need to do the best job that they can?
Well, one should really expect that the ministry ought to be looking into this, and of course, I can't speak for the teachers in terms of how they feel at this time as it relates to their remuneration packages and so forth. But I can say that there have been incidents, cases of quarrel, so to speak, between the ministry and the teachers as it relates to the environment in some of the schools, the structural environment, and otherwise, and threats of basically moving teachers around and principals around often they don't necessarily go well with some of the people who are involved. But those are the issues that I'm sure the ministry should be addressing. I haven't heard him speak explicitly on that matter coming out of the opening ceremony on Monday, though.
Now, I know that the conference was about teaching development. What sort of development programs the ministry is offering the teachers as a way of bringing them up to date on modern teaching methods?
Well, that's a very interesting question, because a number of presentations, and I should also note that the Summer Institute continues and ends Wednesday. So while there was the opening ceremony on Monday, there are a number of sessions that would have taken place today, Tuesday, and will continue tomorrow, Wednesday. Now, coming out of the opening ceremony on Monday as well, there were some very instructive sessions that focused on teaching methods and basically asking of teachers to analyze themselves and to be ready to accept the new ways of getting information across. And I think that those are some of the very instructive ways that teachers should appreciate and get on board in terms of how you continue that process, because of course having the presentations is one thing, but the ongoing evaluation would be important to make sure that, as the presenters suggested, in many cases there are changes. For instance, Orlandette Crab, she is the acting principal at the Joyce Samuel Primary School. She made a very sterling presentation, and in her presentation, among other things, she spoke to the need for improved relations between parents and teachers, and she gave some very riveting scenarios that people ought to appreciate, and we're going to have some excerpts of that in the news as well. But so, as I said, there are a lot of things came out as it relates to how teachers can improve, and it basically winds down to changing their methods of teaching and being much more creative, basically.
Yeah. Regarding the relationship between the teachers and the parents, did the minister say anything about or spoke to the parents indirectly through his presentation?
Yes,
about their support for the teachers and forming a better relationship?
And I think that would have been a strong call to focus directly on that teacher-parent relationship and the role of parents. I can say that the minister was appreciatively much more focused on getting his teachers in tune with the focus of the ministry.
Because I'm sure if we had to do some statistical investigations, we would find that those parents that pay keen attention to their children's education and development have a lot greater success with their children. The children have a greater success.
That's right.
Than most of the children. And we saw that if you read the article on the young man that passed the 11 CXCs, and you look at the relationship between him and his parents, you see how important a role parents played and parents can play in the development of their children.
And that is one of the areas that Orlandette Crab also focused on, as she called on that relationship building between teachers and parents, because what she's saying is, though the teachers have a very important role to play, parents too must support what the teachers are doing in the classroom, because at the end of the day, when children leave school, they go home, and that environment is a good place to continue the education process, especially issues relating to discipline and other moral issues. But I can say too that another strong call came from the acting Chief Education Officer, Gillian Douglas Phillip. And here again is another opportunity for parents to get involved. She says that students and the teachers, and of course parents too, should put emphasis on using standard English or the English language as the mean and the main source of communicating, and avoid using the local parlance, the local dialect, informal communication. For example, she made note of issues at her own office where officers and workers there are speaking informally, basically in a professional setting, and she spoke to some of the issues that she addresses from time to time by correcting some of her own co-workers.
But certainly she's gonna meet a little bit of pushback with that, because there are some persons in the community who look at our dialect or our Creole as not quite a second language, but certainly of cultural significance and cultural importance.
Yes.
And without a doubt, we need to be able to speak standard English.
Yes.
But we don't want to forget our cultural Creole.
Yes, because that too has its place.
Well, it played a significant role
Yes.
in our development as a people, and assistance in us getting our freedom, our
Yes.
ability to speak a language that we could hide certain discussions in and plans in, certainly was an asset in our liberation struggles.
And even
in the
today,
past.
Edgerenka, the local parlance, that lingua franca that we are so accustomed to in the Caribbean, that is colored with various dialects throughout the region, it allows us to express ourselves in different ways, and I personally think it helps our language development process, because you may not know, I speak a very tangy dialect as well.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
I think most of us in the Caribbean.
Yes.
So but no doubt we don't want to minimize what it means
right.
and the importance of speaking standard, quote unquote, standard English.
It's better to be bilingual and multilingual anyway, so it's to our advantage.
Well,
and
certainly-
we have an advantage too, Cromwell, because we are an English-speaking destination region, and many people are struggling, the Chinese and what have you, they're struggling to get to learn English.
Yes.
So we are already ahead in that respect.
Yeah, it certainly was interesting. Education is experiencing some interesting developments. At FEC, this minister is really active in making sure that the standard of education, the
Yes.
quality of education is improved and enhanced in the territory.
Moving towards CXC and all of these.
And
which-
we need international
well.
we need international standards to know where we are in the global scheme of things, and I think it's important that we move in that direction. So I'm quite pleased with some of the things that is happening in education in the territory right now. We got to take a break.
Spotlight is brought to you by the National Bank of the Virgin Islands, Clarence Thomas Limited, the BVI Tourist Board, and CCT Global Communications.